You are listening to the Nature's Premier Podcast, Episode 2. Here at the Nature's Premier Podcast, we talk about everything from bees to babies and sustainable living. Join us while we talk about natural parenting and different ways to live a more sustainable lifestyle for ourselves and our future generations to come. Now let's begin. Welcome to the Nature's Premier Podcast. I am your host, Brooke Nichols, and I am so excited to be here with you all today. Today we are going to chat about a very important topic that not too many people know much about, and that is nature deficit disorder. This was a term coined back in 2005 in Richard Louv's book, Last Child in the Woods. This is not a medical diagnosis. However, it is a term that acknowledges a connection between the lack of nature in our children's lives and many common childhood disorders that plague our wired-up generation, such as rises in obesity, attention disorders, and depression, to name a few. This subject is very important, and this is actually going to be a part 1 of a part 2 series that we are covering. We are going to be interviewing Mr. Louv once he is back from his book tour with his new book that just came out, so please be sure to tune into that when we air it. I actually read Last Child in the Woods when my oldest daughter was about 6 months old. Now, intuitively, we always know that going to the park, we always know that being outside is really good, but Richard's book really cites a lot of different studies, does such a deep dive into this topic, because again, a lot of us know that it's great to be outside, that, being in nature, you think it's just fun for your kid and, we're playing and we're hanging out outside, but there's really so many benefits. And, even though in this world we're inundated with technology and daily distractions, we can't lose sense of where our roots come from. It's very hard in today's day and age. We are all so busy, and it's so easy to forget, that we really should be doing more things for ourselves, for being, more in tune with nature. Now, I may be called a tree hugger for this episode, which is totally fine because apparently there's benefits of hugging trees, but we're not even going to get into that. I may cite that on a Facebook Live in the future. A study actually proved that hugging a tree 3 times a week decreases your anxiety. I mean, it's just so comical, but it's, it's true. Being outside, smelling the roses, so to speak, smelling flowers, just breathing in, taking a big, deep breath. There was actually a study done, several studies. A lot of the studies done are actually not adolescents, in adults. And, they see when you incorporate even taking a brisk walk 3 times a week into your daily schedule, it greatly reduces anxiety, greatly reduces depression. And you would think, if I just go for a walk at the gym, it'll do the same thing, but it actually doesn't. And a lot of pro athletes swear by not training in a gym and training outside because it's working all of your senses. In Richard Louv's book, he had, the nature principle? It's similar to Last Child in the Woods. That focuses more on what happens when children are alienated from nature. But the nature principle, which I'm currently reading right now, and it's a fantastic book. It's the sequel of Last Child in the Woods, but it's for adults. And I highly, highly, highly recommend it to those families who are looking to change pace, get off of, maybe antidepressant or anxiety medication. Medication is certainly necessary. I'm not saying to get off of it if you need it, but we're finding that a lot of times when you take a very overworked, stressed adult, even overweight and having health issues, and they are outside, it's such a host of benefits. I mean, after 6 months, you're a different person. So it's really, really, really fascinating. But we're really looking forward to interviewing Mr. Louv when he is back from his book tour. So do tune in when that airs. So many children today, simply put, do not get enough outdoor time. This is for a number of various reasons, such as the increasing use of distracting technology, demanding school schedules, children being inundated with homework daily, parents working long hours, to the diminished importance of the natural world in public and private education. Whether your child goes to public school or private school, it can't be denied that the focus is always on, all these tests and constant book work and busy work, and we're really forgetting the fundamental basics. And the list really truly does go on and on. There's so many different reasons, and I'm sure if you ask one family to another, there's going to be a million different reasons that they give for why they are not outside more. One thing we can pin down, though, is that today's youth is seeing more and more disorders than those of the generation before. Now, this can obviously be for a number of reasons, both environmental, lifestyle, and the like. However, it's hard to ignore the connection between the alienation of nature in our lives to the array of disorders we are seeing in our youth today. As stated in Richard's summary of his book, Last Child in the Woods, an expanding body of scientific evidence suggests that nature deficit disorder is indeed contributing to a diminished use of the senses, attention difficulties, conditions of obesity, and higher rates of emotional and physical illness. Research also suggests that the nature deficit weakens ecological stewardship of the natural world, which is really, really fascinating. When we are disconnected from the outside, I saw this one thing on Facebook, and it was like, I think it was in Asia maybe, they were doing this like program where they were having people go into a room and there was simulation screens all over the place of like outside or in a pond. And it's like, why are you doing that when you can just literally go outside? You know what I mean? Like, but everything is so technology based, and it's just really crazy when you think you can just literally walk outside and, you know, be in real nature and get the real benefits from it. So these issues are linked more broadly to what healthcare experts call the epidemic of inactivity. The huge reason for this inactivity is due to the increased pull technology has in our lives, especially in those of young children. As stated in Richard's book, The Nature Principle, when technology use increases, so does the need for more vitamin N, which in this case stands for nature. Everything needs a balance. When the scales are tipped too far in one direction, that is when you have issues. Now, it's interesting because that goes for everything. If you have too many cookies, you got to eat more salads. Like you got to always even these things out. And I think we lose sight of that in our day-to-day activities. And this isn't to feel bad. It's just to like be mindful that there's another side that we all should be catering to, whether you're a child or you're, a grown adult. As alarming as this sounds, recent studies are focusing not so much on what is lost when nature experience fades, but on what is gained through more exposure to natural settings, including nearby nature in urban areas. So there is a growing movement for inner city children to be outside more. There's more projects to open parks. There's just a million different things happening in the city, especially in New York City. And it's very important, again, because we lose sight of that. And there are a lot of children that aren't, they may not have parents that are able to take them to the park because they're busy. And, there's a lot of different situations. So it's really important, that we work together and we try to build like communities that are more, outside doing anything, projects. You have Girl Scout, Boy Scouts, there's so many different things. And they're even going back more to nature roots. I think for a little while, they were doing more like fundraiser type of things. And, they always have the cookie sales and stuff, but now they're really starting to go back to that type of mindset. And I think it's great. Studies show, especially recent ones, that kids who play and learn outside are healthier physically and mentally. As stated in the childreninnature.org site, time spent outdoors supports many of the aspects of children's mental and physical health. A study conducted by Hilary L. Burdett, MD, and Robert C. Whitaker, MD, found that unstructured free play in the out of doors brings a host of benefits to children, from being smarter and more cooperative to healthier overall. This well-documented article by two physicians builds a strong case for the importance of unstructured free play, especially with young children. Some cognitive benefits from play in nature include creativity, problem-solving, focus, and discipline. Social benefits include cooperation, flexibility, and self-awareness. Emotional benefits include stress reduction, which is very helpful in adults as well, as cited in the Nature Principle, Richard Louv's book, reduced aggression, and increased happiness. Children will be smarter, better able to get along with others, healthier, and happier when they have regular opportunities for free and unstructured play outside. Now, some people, not to get confused, you can literally go in your backyard and just have your kids play outside. I mean, you don't have to do this whole song and dance. It's really just being outside, smelling the roses, so to speak, just being in nature, breathing in the fresh air, anything, regardless of how big your backyard is, regardless of where you go, just being outside more is proving to do wonders on a child's psychological and physical well-being. The prevalence of obesity among children ages 6 to 11 more than doubled in the past 20 years to 17% of children in this age group. The rate of clinically obese adolescents aged 12 to 19 more than tripled to 17.6%. The Centers for Disease Control concludes that a major missing ingredient is an hour per day of moderate exercise. Now, in schools, I will say that public and private schools around the country are starting to implement more of like not a nature-based education, which is a total other topic, but it, more play outside, more outside time, extending recess, having lunch after recess. And there's a lot of benefits to that, and we will definitely go into that on another episode, but it's really important, like breaking the chain of, habit with schools being at a desk for 9 hours a day. I mean, you really have to break that up. A child needs to be outside. A child needs to be running around. So a lot of schools are seeing that, especially like here in Long Island, the Patrick Medford School District, and I will give out a shout out to them. The superintendent, he is steadfastly changing the pace of public schools around this area. He is starting to implement a more longer recess, shorter school days. I mean, there's a lot of things that he's doing, a little controversial, but definitely something that's changing the pace and a lot of children are seeing a benefit from. So as stated by the TexasChildrenInNature.org site, children not only become healthier physically and mentally, but they also do better in school when they are outside more. An article written by Gerald A. Lieberman, Ph.D., and Linda L. Hoodie, M.A., cite that children that spend more time in the outdoors do better in math, science, and critical thinking. Evidence was gathered for this study from 40 schools and indicates that children learn more efficiently within an environment-based context rather than a traditional four-wall educational framework. Students exposed to a nature-based approach often become more enthusiastic, self-motivated learners. Nature-based learning is for another topic, though, another episode entirely. That is a very deep rabbit hole. So some other benefits of including nature into your children's routine is that children have higher self-esteem, they feel more capable and confident, are more cooperative with others, are more creative on average, have good self-discipline, are good problem solvers, and more likely to care about the earth as they grow and become tomorrow's stewards or conservationists. So this is very interesting because it's true. I mean, when you immerse a child in nature, when you teach them about the world, I mean, they do tend to want to take care of it as they get older, especially when you show them that our resources aren't renewable. I mean, it's not like it's always going to be like this. You know what I mean? Like our population is growing so much, and it's so important that a growing population for the next generation take care of the environment that we have. And it's really, really important for our children to see that because you can lose sight of it. You certainly can lose sight of it, especially if not enough people are talking about it, especially if it's not like, I don't know, on a to-do list, so to speak. I mean, teach your child how to grow a garden, teach your child how to, rake outside and, be outside if you're in that setting. Because, if you're in the city, a lot of times you don't have a backyard. But, just to be outside, grow a little plant. Show them how important it is. Show them how important that plant is to our environment. It's really, really important that we teach our children, even a little bit. You don't even have to get crazy with it. Show them how to compost. Some people might think that's crazy, but show them different things, and just show them how the world works and, why it's so important that we have to tend to our environment in order for us to even be here, So I hope you grabbed a good understanding of what nature deficit disorder is and learned more about the many benefits of being outdoors. Although this episode didn't even scratch the surface, we hope it piqued your interest to learn more about this disorder so you can become more mindful of avoiding it. Please know that although some of this data is frightening, especially in today's day and age when anxieties and stress rule a roost, nature deficit disorder is something we can reverse. The remedy is so simple. More time in nature to balance out the technology and the day-to-day clutter that tends to overtake our minds. There's no surprise that even for adults, going for a walk in the park tends to do more wonders than any pill. For more information on this topic and to read more about the studies on this, please visit our friends at TexasChildrenInNature.org and Richard Louv's co-founded organization, ChildrenInNature.org. Very informative sites, and we highly recommend you guys checking them out to learn more about nature deficit disorder, how to avoid it, and some tips to get your kids outside more and even yourself. This is Brooke Nichols with Nature's Premier. Thank you so much for listening to this episode today. If you know 3 families that can use this information, whether they are a parent or if they are looking for themselves to, learn more about the benefits of being submersed in nature, please do feel free to share this episode. It really does help get the message out to those who can use this information. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and we will check you back next week. Take care.